We talked about how to find the mean of this data set earlier. Now let's talk about the median, the mode, and the range. Well, the median is just the number in the middle. The mode is the number that happens the most often, and the range is the difference between the highest value and the lowest value. And you know what really helps when we're trying to find these three numbers? If we put our values in order. So like if I started with the smallest value, that's Francisco with 1 sibling, and I ended with the largest, that's Alice with 5. Like this. So in ascending order from Francisco to Alice, if I arrange my data like this, it's easier to find the median, the mode, and the range. Now remember, we said that the median is the number in the middle. So I like to think the number in the middle, median, middle. Just like when you're driving, the median is in the middle of the road. Well, who's in the middle? It's Stefan. And how many siblings does Stefan have? He has 3. So our median for this data set is 3. How about our mode? Well, our mode is the value that occurs the most. Is there a value here that occurs more than any of the other values? Let's see, we have 1, 1. We have 1, 2. We have 1, number 3. We have 1 student with 4 siblings, and we have 1 student with 5 siblings. You know what? Each of these values occurs only one time. There's not a value that occurs more than any of the others. That means that there is no mode for this particular data set. All the values are different. There's just not one that happens more than the others. Now what about the range? What if we took the largest value, 5 siblings for Alice, and we subtracted the smallest value, 1 sibling for Francisco? Well, our range would be 4. So this data set, the difference between the greatest value and the smallest value, 5 minus 1, is 4. That's our range. We have a median of 3. There's no mode. We have a range of 4. Let's take a look at our teachers and how long they went to college. Now remember, it's a lot easier if we put them in order from least to greatest. Boom, there we go. All right, so Miss Forte spent the smallest amount of time in school, and Dr. Green spent the largest amount of time in school. Now who's in the middle? It feels like a trick question, doesn't it? Because really Mr. Fontaine and Mr. McDonald are both kind of in the middle here, aren't they? Mr. Fontaine has 4 years in college, and Mr. McDonald has 5 years in college. So which one's the median? Which one's the middle? Well, actually, the median would be right between the two of these values. It would be the value that's exactly halfway between 4 and 5. Do you know what's halfway between 4 and 5? 4.5, right? Or 4.5? And here's how you can find that mathematically. What I want you to do is add 4 and 5 together, and then divide by 2. That'll tell you the number that's exactly halfway between those two values. And that comes out to 4.5, or 4.2. So to find the median when you have 2 values in the middle, just add those values together and divide by 2. That'll tell you the halfway point between those two values. In this case, it's 4.5 years. What about our mode? Is there a value that happens more than the other values? Well, sure there is. This time, we can see that Miss Williams and Mr. Fontaine both went to college for 4 years. That means that our mode is 4 for this set of data. And then to find our range, we're going to subtract the greatest value minus the smallest value. So 8 minus 3. 8 minus 3 is 5. We have a range of 5 because 8 minus 3 is 5. We have a mode of 4 because the value 4 occurs twice. And we have a median of 4.5 or 4.5 because that's directly between our two central numbers here. 4.5 is halfway between 4 and 5. Let's look at the last example, our pets. It's pretty easy to put these in order from least to greatest. Just don't forget to put Viviana in the front there at 0. She might not have any pets, but we still need to include her in our data set. So who is at the middle? Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means Lucas and Fatima are both at the very middle of our data set. Oops. There we go. Now, Lucas and Fatima both happen to have 2 pets. So that means the number in the middle is 2. Our median is 2. How about the mode? Which value occurs more than the other values? Well, it's once again Lucas and Fatima. They both have 2 pets, so 2 is our mode. And how about our range? Well, Audie has the most pets at 4, and Viviana has 0. 4 minus 0 gives us a range of 4. So you can see that if you organize your data, if you list the values in order from smallest to greatest, it makes it much easier to find your median and your range in particular. And it might even make finding the mode easier too.